Hello guys, this is Andreas with MTGMadness. I'm bringing you a deck tech video of my deck for the upcoming Grand Prix in the Czech Republic in Prague. I am playing Scapeshift at the event. The deck that I'm testing and have been for the last couple of weeks, right after my trip to GP Antwerp and the Bazaar of Moxon. My friend and roommate Thomas Enevoldsen, you guys might know him from Legacy, where he's playing the mono white deck to some success. He got me hooked on this, even though I did fairly well in both at the GP and at the Modern tournament at the Bazaar. I got pretty hooked on the deck. So let's take a look at it. The win condition obviously is Scapeshift. Casted with 7 lands in play, you can find 6 mountains and a Malakut and shoot for 18. That's usually enough. Sometimes you need 8 lands. You can find 2 Valakuts and 6 mountains. And that's a lot of damage. So life gain will not kill you. There are some obscure situations where you don't have enough mountains left, and then you have to get creative. But let's talk a bit about these slots: 2 Snapcasters, 3 Peer Through Depths. They basically double as Scapeshifts, they double as bolts, they double as cryptics, they double as ramp spells. Whenever your Scapeshift gets thought seized or countered or whatever, these are the cards you want. Snapcaster will flash it back. Peer will search for a new one. They're necessary, but you don't necessarily want them in multiples. Deaththreat Shaman can be a problem for the number of Snapcasters, and that's why we're at 2 and not more. Bolts are able to kill quick Deathrite, quick Goblin Guide to take off the pressure. They can kill a Confidant. They can even go to the opponent's face, so they go to 17, and then you only need 7 lands to go off. This is very relevant against decks like Tron, Affinity. Izzet Charm will still kill early creatures, along with countering stuff like turn 3 Karn, turn 2, turn 3 Lydiana. It's just a clutch card. On the combo turn, you can sometimes go off with 7 lands. They will cryptic, and then they don't have any way to pay for Izzet Charm. It's then a backup spell. Plus, it will once in a while dig you into the Scapeshift. All 3 modes are actually relevant in this deck. In the counter section, we have 4 remands just to buy time, dig for land drops. It's very important to make land drops the first 4 or 5 turns, basically up until you kill them. And remand cryptics really help out with that. Turn 3 cryptic is very common. You play a ramp spell turn 2, or suspend the search for tomorrow turn 1, and then on turn 3 you have cryptic. Counter draw is very powerful in a format like Modern. Now on to the green cards. 4 Search for Tomorrow, because they're just awesome. Suspend them turn 1, have 4 mana turn 3. 4 Sakuras, they will block. So there will basically be a life gain spell and a ramp card. And then for the 4 last slots, we have 2 Farseek, 1 Cultivate, 1 Prismatic Omen. Cultivate is good, just drawing it sometimes. It's kind of like a card advantage spell, very good against Jund, where they will rip your hand apart and you need to top deck. Then that's card advantage. Prismatic Omen is good at fixing your mana for cryptic and making sure you can go off from 6 lands. So in that regard, it's kind of like a ramp spell. When you go off from 6 lands, you find 2 Valakuts and 4 other lands, and you'll get triggers even from the Valakuts, because they're also mountains. I found 12 ramp spells to be optimal. Yeah. Moving on to the lands, we have 10 mountains and 2 Valakuts. 10 mountains sometimes could be 1 too few, but I don't think we can squeeze in another due to cryptic command. and basically 95% of the time this is a good configuration. 2 Valakuts, because you might draw one, and if you get that one Teck tonic edged or ghost quartered or whatever, you still want a way to win, but you don't want to draw them all the time, so 3 and 4 is out of the question. 3 basic forest, 3 islands, and just 4 misties. That's just the best fetch. They act as green sources for getting your ramp started, and they act as blue sources to, without taking damage, fetching basic islands and casting cryptics. 2 breeding pool, that's basically the card you fetch for when you don't have to use the land right away. So when you find it at an opponent's turn tapped, and with Farseek, and then you have 1 Flooded Grove as the last land slot. It's just good at either acting as a green source of an island or helping casting cryptic off of a forest. I've liked it a lot so far whenever I draw it. Going to the sideboard, we have 4 cards against aggressive decks. Thomas, my buddy, he played I think 2 Firespout and 2 Shadowstorm. I just didn't feel like hitting that much against Affinity, because you will beat them most of the time anyway. So I wanted something that would be good against other aggressive strategies. Explosives, still very good against Affinity, while also doing stuff against token-based decks or like the Bogle deck, and just random stuff that you need to kill. I've even killed suspended like lotuses with it, and all sorts of random stuff. And Pyroclasm I just feel is superior to Firespout. There aren't many toughness 3 creatures in the format. I mean, if the format was full of like red-green aggro with Curd Apes and stuff, I would obviously play Firespout, but I just feel like the faster card is better here. I played 2 Combust. That's a concession to Splinter Twin. I realized that might not be a very good matchup. So now I just have 2 Combust. If I draw it, I just play draw go until I'm absolutely sure I can go off, or just wait for them to try and go off. I'll kill their Deceiver, and I will most likely win the game on the following turn. Another plan against that deck is just having Swan Song and Remand back up to Scapeshift and just try and go off. Of course, that's a possibility also. Then I have 6 slots against black-green based decks like Junt. I'll board out 2 Snapcasters and 4 Remands. I don't like Snapcasters against Ooze and Deathrite, and I don't like Remands against 1 mana discard. A lot of the time I'll need to remand that just to draw into lands. But I guess that's a personal preference. I think other players are quite fond of remand in that matchup. But the Baloth is obviously good against Liliana. But even if they don't have Liliana, I will cast it on turn 3, and only Tarmogoyf will beat through it. So it's like multiple time walks in 1 card, and that's what you want, because you will win the long game. 2 Wormcoil is basically the same. If you cast it, they need to spend so many resources getting rid of it, so it's kind of like having just more time to find that Scapeshift that will kill him. For the last 3 cards, these blue ones, I have Swan Song. That's a very flexible card, just like Engineered Explosives, but the most common use for that card is acting pretty much like a Dispel, winning the counter war on the combo turn, where the Swan they get obviously doesn't matter. It will also counter stuff like Blood Moon or Splinter Twin, so the flexibility is very good, and it's definitely an upgrade from Theros. I played Dispel in this slot before, or rather I would if I had played in the deck. For the last slot I have Giga Drowse. I wanted something against Blue-Eyed Red that would just make me win the game pretty much. Counterflux has caused me some problems, so I added a Giga Drowse for the deck. I haven't actually cast it yet, but I'd imagine if you draw it against blue, white, red, they're just dead. Tap 4, 5, 6 lands on their end step. Nothing they can do about it, and then you just go off. I think it's very good, high impact, so I definitely think it's worth just the one slot. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I'm gonna play some matches, and I'll see you in those.